Hi, my name is Ash Phillips and I'm a founder and entrepreneur running a company called Yena. What's my typical day like? Well, my typical day involves me catching up with the team, finding out what the priorities are for that day, that week, that month, and checking in to see where we're at against our goals and our targets, and maybe a couple of meetings over the phone, via Zoom, virtually. Sometimes that'll mean being on the road, so up and down the country to London, maybe other countries occasionally. The job of a founder is very varied, but it's all about driving the business forward, and so all of my day is spent looking to do that. The three main skills that I use in my role, the first one is understanding people, social dynamics, psychology. There's so many complexities to it, but simply understanding people is super powerful. It's underrated, in my opinion, across the board. Businesses are run by people. They're the things that everybody works for, regardless of the size, whether it's small or corporate. It's the bosses in the company, it's the employees in the company, it's the customers, the clients, the partners, the investors. They're all humans, and so understanding humans is one of the biggest skills I think anyone can have. The second thing is sales. Running a business is amazing if you are good at selling, otherwise it can be hard work, and I think it's also underrated right now, where there's so much focus on building great products and being able to develop, for example, and understand code and technology, and that's great, but it's no good having the best product in the world if you're not able to sell it. So understanding how to convince people to part with their money for a product that you've built is really key to succeeding in running a business. And the third and final thing I would say is actually probably self-awareness, understanding your own strengths and weaknesses, figuring out who you should hire to fill those gaps, what you're good at and what you should spend most of your time on, and then allowing you to focus on those things to make sure that part of the business moves forward as fast as possible. For example, I know I'm not great with accounting, so I've hired a good accountant to manage those things. That self-awareness allows me to drive the business forward rather than strangling it by trying to manage the money myself when it's not something that I'm great at. What do I love about my job? Well, I love everything about my job. If I didn't, I wouldn't do it. Running a business can be one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. It can be one of the most stressful things you'll ever do. It's probably going to be both, but founders and entrepreneurs will do it regardless of the latter, and certainly for the former. We enjoy the ups and downs. We're kind of sadistic in that way. But I love being able to connect with people. People are frustrating, but they're also incredibly interesting. And so everybody's got a goal and a vision and a dream, and they want to achieve something. And Yena provides them with an ecosystem to help make that happen. We provide them with business benefits by subscription. And so whether they're running a flower shop or a massive tech company, or they're selling biscuits or lingerie, or trying to build a TV production organization, we help them with that. And the thing I love about my job is being able to see them grow because we were a small part of it. Developments happening in our industry at the moment. There's a huge demand for virtual support, certainly in light of COVID and the pandemic and lockdown conditions, but generally speaking, the world is looking for better virtual support. People are not in tech hubs anymore. London, Bristol, San Francisco, New York, Edinburgh, Berlin, Paris, these places are generally where people flock to build great companies because there's money there. That shouldn't need to happen, and the world is waking up to that. So there's a big demand for people to get high quality support to help build their companies that's probably independently driven rather than government driven by organizations like ours. We're seeing some growth as a result of that. There's a big demand for high quality stuff. So if anybody out there is thinking about building and starting a business to help other companies, then the time to do it is probably right now. But certainly an emphasis on quality over quantity, and really understanding how to help people achieve what they want to achieve. If I could go back and give my 16-year-old self one piece of advice, it would be just go for it. Go fast, Don't seek permission. Just if you've got a hunch, chase it. It's probably right. And the reason for that is because gut feel, I'm a logical, scientific kind of person, but gut feel is a really important thing. Every time I've ignored it, I've gone wrong. And every time I've trusted it, it's done me good. And I think there's real logic to that. The reason that these things play on our mind is because we've observed them in a bunch of different ways, a whole bunch of times. And so if we've observed them that many times, there's probably something to it. We should chase it. A lot of the time that people ask for advice, they're not actually asking for advice. They're actually seeking permission to go and do the thing that they want to do. So the self-awareness piece plays in really strongly here. If you can understand that you know what you want to do already, you don't need to spend time seeking permission from someone to tell you it's okay to go and do it. Just go and do it. If I did that and I could tell my 16-year-old self that, I would have saved myself a whole bunch of years. And yeah, I guess the secondary piece of advice I would say is to focus on building the business, sell something. Everybody gets so hung up on perception and brand and building all of this feel that you look successful and the company feels successful, but that's easier done when it actually is successful. So go and sell something, 16-year-old me, and the rest will come more easily.